Welcome to Good Games Spawn Point, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Hex.
And I'm Bajo.
And I am Darren.
It's good to be back on solid ground after last week's spacewalk, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, I've got to say, after all those zero-G cheese sandwiches, I'm feeling a bit sick in the stomach. But we're back with a whole bunch of mobile games to review, such as Rocket Robo, Smash Hit, and Bears vs. Art.
Now, last week we did promise that we were going to review Yoshi's Island today, but maybe he got stuck on a platform somewhere. Instead, we're going to review Powerpuff Girls, Defenders of Townsville.
Perhaps Yoshi's down in the mailroom. I could go and check.
Oh, no,
Darren,
More
no.
of that.
Well, fleshy humans, it's time to test your gaming knowledge with another noob detecting Darren's challenge. Which game featured this ghost-eating appliance? The Poltergust 5000. I'll have the answer at the end of the show.
Oh, you might stump a few spawnlings with that one, Darren. But for now, let's cross to the news desk for some headlines with Goose.
Affirmative.
Goose here with all the gaming news from around the gaming globe. Sony has confirmed they're developing a virtual reality headset for the PlayStation 4, codenamed Project Morpheus. The exact technical details are not yet known, however, it will require the PlayStation camera to function and will soon be available to developers so they can begin creating new games for it. No release date is yet known, and it's rumoured that Microsoft has their own VR device in the works for the Xbox One too.
We all know that Minecraft is a popular game, but did you know that last year the game made a total of 2 billion Swedish krona in sales, which equals around 356 million Australian? A spokesman from the game's developer Mojang said that usually with games you would start to expect a decline after the first year, but that's never really happened for us. Looking closer at the copies of Minecraft sold last year, 40% were on PC, 35% from console, and 25% from mobile versions of the game.
Chinese robotics company KUKA Robot Group has built this impressive ping-pong playing machine. Known as KUKA KR Agilis. No, that's not the right footage. That's just Darren playing table tennis. Can we please roll the right footage? Okay, that's better. The robot put up a stiff challenge for Timo Boll, one of the world's best ping-pong players. However, it wasn't able to overcome good old-fashioned human intelligence and mobility and lost the match by just 2 points, 11-9. And that's all for this week. I'm Goose, and that was the news.
Thanks, Goose. Well, it seems every day there are new games coming out for smartphones, so we thought it was about time that we did a bit of a roundup. And first up, Rocket Robo, which is a game all about a flying robot. Have you been harassing developers to make games about you again, Darren?
Obviously, the game's creator is a big fan of mine, and who can blame him? He's only human. Like me, Robo is handsomely manufactured and he's got his own jet boots. He must gather as many stars as he can on the way to each level's exit. However, there aren't any time limits here, so the game's challenge comes from its well-hidden stars.
I have to say I was a bit worried when I first picked this up because I've never really been a big fan of tilt controls. But I think they work pretty well here. Robo's jet boots are the main thrust of his movement, with the tilting just providing minor course corrections. You can also flick in between the foreground and the background, which allows the levels to have some sneaky secret passages.
I loved how many ideas they packed into this game. You can spin the levels to shift blocks around, and there are even little surprise stars to be earned for doing things like scoring soccer goals. I do wish you could see more of the level though. Having to keep pausing the game and bringing up the map made me think the game might work better on a bigger screen, where you could see the whole level. I think this is a really clever game. I'm giving it 7 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Well, Darren will of course always be my favourite robot. But Rocket Robo is pretty cute as well, so I'm giving it 7.5. Next up, Smash Hit.
The game has a deceptively simple concept. You merely fly through a glass world, smashing it with ball bearings. So much destruction! Unfortunately, the game does limit your ammo, so you do need to aim your shots carefully. Hitting the blue crystals tops up your ammo reserves, which you'll need for shooting your way through these glass obstacle courses. Run out of balls and it's game over.
Yes, I thought this game looked super easy, but oh my, was I wrong.
Affirmative.
There's a real skill to mastering the ball's arc to hit those distant crystals. And some of the obstacles are really hard because the glass bits you need to hit are so tiny. I was totally stressed out, but in a good way.
Yeah, it's definitely a game where I kept coming back for another go. It's just so satisfying when you have the bonus abilities like double and triple shots. But you've got to combo a lot of crystal hits together without crashing to earn these power-ups. I was so determined to keep retrying until I could perfect each section. I thought this was a smashing game. I'm giving it 9.
Nice pun, Hex, nice pun. Well, I had a ball with this game.
That's all right.
I'm giving it 9 as well. Well, next up we answer the age-old question of who would win a fight between bears and art.
Bears vs. Art is a puzzle game from Half Brick, the Aussie studio behind Fruit Ninja and Jetpack Joyride. It stars an angry bear who visits a lot of art galleries, creating chaos in each. Often he simply has to scratch the paintings to shreds, but this task is made a lot more difficult because your bear can only roll in straight lines, and he doesn't stop until he hits a wall.
Yeah, I often found I had to just take a moment at the beginning of each level and plan which way I wanted to go, especially since you often have a strict number of rolls to complete the level in.
Yeah, this was a bit hit and miss for me. I think the strategic levels are great. There are dangers like patrolling guards and spike traps to plan around. But then you get these rushed levels where you have to roll into all the guests before time runs out. What was that about?
I don't know, I took them as a fun little break to recharge my brain. The microtransactions bugged me a bit though. It's always pushing you to spend real money on power-ups, and you only get a tiny number of free retries for levels. Run out and you have no choice but to buy some more or turn the game off and let the retries recharge.
Yes, a bad microtransaction model can ruin the experience, can't it? But I had a good time with this game and I love the concept, so I'm giving it 6.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
It's a 6 from me.
Smartphones have become such capable gaming machines. You know, I've actually got a D.A.R.R.E.N report all lined up about the technology that makes our pocket computers tick. Roll the tape, Kerry. Welcome to the D.A.R.R.E.N report. Today I want to tell you all about a piece of technology that changed the world of gaming. For context, we must cast our minds back to the 26th of April, 1985. We Are the World was #1 in the pop music charts. Melbourne was getting ready to celebrate its 150th anniversary. The wreck of the Titanic was located in the North Atlantic Ocean. And it was also the birthday of a new type of computer chip, the very first ARM CPU, the ARM-1. ARM was short for Acorn RISC Machine, a chip that employed reduced instruction set computing, or RISC technology. Chips with RISC use a simpler, more streamlined computing language than old-fashioned chips, so they can run a lot faster. They use a lot less electricity, so they're cheaper to run. They're cheaper to make, too. The first computer to use the ARM chip, the Acorn Archimedes, didn't really take off. But in recent years, RISC chips have proliferated. Over 95% of smartphones now run on ARM chips. Perhaps you have one in your pocket right now. But it's not just texting and games. Millions of spawnlings are now learning how much fun computer programming can be thanks to the Raspberry Pi. The Pi is a tiny little computer that's built around, you guessed it, an ARM RISC chip. ARM is such a success that other chip makers are scrambling to make their chips run faster and cooler. This is great for gamers, and great for the environment too. And that's a wrap on the D.A.R.R.E.N report for this week. Back to you, Bajo and Hex.
All right, Hex, I've warmed up my mouth. I am ready to answer some questions. What's on the plate today?
Well, how about we start with this one from Banjo Kazooie, who is in Perth, Western Australia.
Dear Good Game, do you know any sandbox games? I love messing around in them, just doing silly things. So far I have Minecraft, Terraria, Kerbal Space Program, and Starbound. Do you know any fun sandbox games that I can do things in? I don't mind if it has quests or missions, as long as it has sandbox somewhere. Thanks, Banjo-Kazooie.
Well, Banjo-Kazooie, those games you mentioned are some of the best sandbox games around, so I'm not sure that we can recommend many better ones than those, but there are a few you might like to check out. Although keep in mind, pretty much all of these games are in early access, so they aren't finished yet, but you can go and play them.
That's right, Hex. And from those games you mentioned, I'm guessing you quite like the construction element of those sandboxes. One I've been keeping my eye on that you might enjoy is Space Engineers. You build spaceships and space stations and mine asteroids, and it's got pretty cool physics and destruction engine. It looks quite promising so far, I think.
Another one you might like to check out is called Castle Story. It's kind of like a strategy version of Minecraft where you get little guys to mine the world and build up castles that monsters come to attack. It's maybe not the type of sandbox that you want though, where you're just a character running around and just doing everything yourself.
But if you do enjoy that more strategic approach, you might want to look at Craft the World. It looks a lot like Terraria at first glance, but you actually command a group of dwarves to do all the building and exploring and fighting rather than just doing it directly for yourself.
But maybe if you've got a few friends that you like to play with, then you might enjoy playing King Arthur's Gold. Again, it might look a little bit like Terraria, but there's a lot more of a focus on combat and multiplayer rather than exploration.
I do like that game. And if you actually just want something like Terraria and Starbound, then Edge of Space is very similar.
There is also Cube World, which we have talked about on the show before. It hasn't got much in the way of construction, but it is a big randomly generated RPG sandbox to explore.
And if you just want a giant virtual box of blocks to play and build with, then you might enjoy Blockland. It's all about the building really, but it's got a pretty big community of builders and servers you can explore, and of course, you can join up with some friends for multiplayer building.
Well, there's certainly a few suggestions there. So let's move on to this one from Cool Man, who is in Gordon, New South Wales.
He sounds pretty cool. Cool man.
He's a cool guy.
If I put cool in front of my name, does that make me cool if I'm Cool Bajo?
Well, I mean, you can put cool in front of your name, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're cool. You have to like walk the walk.
Are you saying I'm not cool?
Walk, and you got to do poses like this. No, like more like this. And you have to wear sunglasses even when it's nighttime.
Word up.
What is the next generation of MotorStorm and what is the next game console? Let Darren ask the second question. Cool man out.
Well, cool man, there haven't been any new games announced in the MotorStorm series, sadly, but the developers responsible for those games are making the upcoming Drive Club, which is set to come out on PS4 sometime this year. It's pretty different from the MotorStorm games, though, and focuses on just cars driving on roads, unlike the bikes and trucks and madness of mud you see in MotorStorm.
As for the next console coming out, well, I guess we better give Darren a call to see if he knows the answer to that.
What's this number again, Hex?
It's like 1001101, or maybe it's 01101.
I've got it on speed dial.
Hello, you've reached Darren. I'm currently busy right now, but please leave a message after the beep.
Since when does he have an
Distance
answering
voicemail.
machine?
Yeah. Okay, hi.
Hi, it's
too much pressure. Darren, I'm...
Darren.
Oh, just kidding. Hello, Bajo.
Ah,
Darren.
fake answering machine.
Very funny, Darren. Now, back to business. A Spawnling was just wondering what the next game console was going to be.
Well, there are, of course, the upcoming Steam machines coming out this year, which are essentially PCs, but with a different operating system. There are also strong rumours of both Amazon and Google releasing Android-based consoles, similar to last year's Ouya. But if they were wondering about a new console from Nintendo, Sony or Microsoft, well, seeing as they've all just recently released their latest consoles, I doubt we'll be hearing anything about those for quite some time.
Oh, thanks, Darren.
Although in the meantime, I'm working on my own console.
Really, Darren? What's it called?
Oh, it's going to be called the Darren 64. Oh, it's going to be powered completely by lasers, and I'm developing a special technology that can transmit frustration directly into the human brain.
Wow, Darren, that sounds awesome.
Would you like a demo?
I guess.
Charging my frustration ray.
Oh, I'm so frustrated. Oh, it's annoying.
I'll turn it up then.
Oh, thanks, Darren. That was really frustrating. That's going to be a frustrating console. Yeah,
Thank
good luck.
you.
Bye,
Good luck.
Darren.
Goodbye.
That console's already dead in the water.
I don't know anyone who would want to play that. All right, well, let's move on to our last question for today. It's from Elsa the Ice Queen, who is in Why Do You Want to Know? In Queensland.
That's frustrating. I'm still lingering effects.
She must be a fan of Frozen.
Frozen frustrated me. No, it didn't. I liked it. 1. In Super Mario 3D World, to unlock the Secret character, what world do you have to finish, and is it hard? 2. Will there be a game of the movie Frozen?
Well, Elsa, you have to finish the main game and defeat Bowser, then go back to the first world and take the rocket ship up to the newly unlocked world. You'll unlock the secret character after completing the second level in this world.
As for if it's hard, well, it takes a bit of effort to get to that point with quite a few tricky levels along the way. And the level you have to complete to unlock her is pretty tricky with lots of flipping platforms. But I'm sure you can manage it.
And there've already been a few video games for Frozen. The biggest one was Frozen Olaf's Quest for DS and 3DS. It's not anything special though, and is a fairly basic platformer, but if you really love Frozen, then you'd probably get some fun out of it.
Other than that, there's also the Anna and Elsa figurines for Disney Infinity, which have their own short adventures, and there's a simple match 3 game for phones called Frozen Freefall.
And there's also a bunch of browser-based mini-games you can play on the Disney website, which you might like to check out. But on that note, we're out of time for this week. If you've got a question you'd like to ask us, then you can go in here and send it in.
Back to the studio, Hanks?
Yeah, sure. You dropped your wallet. All right, you guys, is everyone ready to defend Townsville?
Yes. Hang on a sec, Hex. Townsville, that's in Queensland. Is it another cane toad attack? Darren, ready your laser.
Negative, Bajo. This Townsville is a fictional city.
Yes, it's time for the Powerpuff Girls.
What is it, Mayor? Mojo Jojo again? We're on our way.
The Powerpuff Girls, defenders of Townsville, sees the 3 adorable heroines take on the evil Mojo Jojo once again, only to have their memories erased and plunged into a nightmarish world of robots.
Powerpuff Girls to the rescue.
A world of robots? Sounds like paradise.
It's no paradise, Darren. These are killer robots.
Wait, how do I punch again?
And with no memory to speak of, the Powerpuff Girls can't use their powers to defend themselves.
So that's how I throw a punch.
Ah, that meddling Mojo Jojo. Guys, so often games use the amnesia technique as a way to teach players how to use their abilities. But this is a pretty simple game that gets straight to the action, so you do forgive it for being a little unoriginal with its setup.
During the tutorial, you'll play as Buttercup and steadily acquire some basic abilities to fight off the hordes of robos. Most importantly, your ability to fly.
I forgot how nice it is to fly.
All the humour and style from the cartoon has been incorporated into the game quite well, with gameplay style similar to that of Metroidvania and the Bulletstorm style of games. Your aim is simple: avoid the robot attacks, clear each area, and rescue the other Powerpuff Girls.
Way to go, Buttercup.
I do like that the style of this game is consistent with the cartoon. The art is solid, the music and occasional sound bites from the characters are all good too.
Freaking evil robots is my favorite.
But the level design is a little frustrating. It's essentially a maze of rectangular rooms you need to find your way through, unlocking new areas to find hidden power-ups. But often you can only get through certain areas once you've acquired a particular skill, and that means a lot of backtracking.
Yeah, I got a bit tired of going around in circles, and the gameplay is pretty basic, so it wasn't that thrilling having to clear room after room over and over again. But I do think the simplicity of shooters like this are part of the fun as well.
Yeah, it has that mindless arcade aspect that you can potentially jump into in short bursts. And while I was enjoying myself when I felt like I was making real progress, I was also going a little bit crazy. It's just so frustrating when you can see something that you need but you don't have the right ability to get it. But that's part of what drives you to continue, I guess.
As the game progresses, you'll realise that just one Powerpuff Girl is not enough to access many parts of the areas you started in. Once you find your way through the maze of rooms to rescue Blossom, you'll discover one of her abilities is what you needed to melt ice blocks that were preventing you from progressing. And so on with the final member of the trio, Bubbles.
Yes, and that means more backtracking.
Affirmative.
As you regain the members of your trio, the map slowly opens up to become a larger and more daunting maze of rectangular rooms, filled with even tougher swarms of robots and bullet chaos to take on. But every time you have to go through those same pipe doors over and over, it just gets a bit tedious.
Yeah, I just wish that included some shortcuts or something once you'd opened up that area. I also wish that the different attacks had more of an effect on the different types of robots. You can swap between any of the girls once you rescue them all, but no matter which attack I used against them, the abilities all pretty much had the same effect.
It's true, there isn't a whole lot of depth to this game, but it's also not trying to be anything more than a simple arcade shooter, and it does an adequate job at creating a fun distraction in the form of a cartoon-inspired blast fest.
I think you're right, Darren. This game isn't particularly deep, but it's also quite cheap. What are you going to give it, Hex?
Well, I think this genre of game suits the cartoon really well, and while it's not the most inventive game in the world, it's also something that I'm happy to sit down and play in short bursts. I'd also recommend hooking up a controller because it suits it better. I'm giving it 6.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun, isn't it? I'm giving it 6 as well. Hey, Darren, which Powerpuff Girl would you be?
I can't believe you'd even ask. Clearly, I'd be Blossom. She's the tactician.
I'd be Buttercup because she's the toughest.
Makes sense. Well, I guess that leaves me with Bubbles.
I can see that.
She's pretty cute, so you...
Well, thank you.
Cute and...
And sadly, that's all the time we have for this week. But hey, before we go, Darren, time to answer your challenge.
Affirmative. I asked you to identify which game featured the Poltergust 5000, and it was Luigi's Mansion 2. It's Luigi's main ghost-busting appliance for hoovering up all those naughty spirits.
Oh, nice one, Darren. Next week on Spawn Point, we finally catch up with Little Green Yoshi for some power platforming.
Plus, we check out the Lego Movie The Game.
I only work in black. That's my kind of Lego game.
Oh, I really hope it's good.
Did you know 36,000 Lego pieces are melded every minute of the day?
Whoa!
That's a lot of bricks. Until next time, may all your games be good ones. Hex out.
Bajo out.
Darren out. That's 62 bricks for every person on the planet.
So much Lego. You know what frustrates me? When you step on a piece of Lego in the darkness of night.
It's so annoying because it's got the little spiky bits that stick into your foot.
Hurts the foot. You know the noise I make when I step on it?
What? That's the noise you make for everything.
Yeah.
It's like if we run out of cheese sandwiches, you make that noise.
Yeah.